In the shadowed annals of this cursed realm, of the world itself bears the mark of ancient malevolence. My tale unfolds like a tragic dirge sung in the grim halls of despair. From the onset, the land groaned under the weight of its own curse, with the souls of the departed found no solace in death's embrace. These spectral terrors, born from the abyss, defied mortal blades, their haunt too deep for mere steel to sever. Necromancy and curses, whispers of forbidden arts, lingered as a faint echo of forgotten knowledge, remnants of a bygone era. A solitary sellsword, I journeyed through the twisted paths that led to a forsaken town on the fringes of oblivion. No mage, no sorcerer was I, but a humble warrior in search of meager coin. The carriage that bore me rattled through the labyrinthine roads, perilous forests lurking in the shadow, hungering for the unwary souls that dared to tread upon it. Each jolt of the carriage echoed the tumult of a storm-tossed vessel, a desperate race against the encroaching darkness. As the town emerged from the mist, a towering edifice loomed over its humble dwellings. A castle, ancient and accursed, its spires piercing the heavens like accusing fingers. For generations it stood as a silent sentinel, a monument to desolation, its secrets guarded by the shroud of death. Once, court magicians ventured within, their fate sealed in silence, their whispers lost to the howling winds of time. The town itself bore scars of its history, haunted by the specters of forgotten wars and ancient atrocities. Rumors wailed like vengeful spirits, weaving tales of untold riches and unspeakable horrors. So, I arrived, drawn by the promise of wealth, my sword a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. Stepping onto the cobblestone streets, I beheld a sight both quaint and macabre. A hamlet teetering on the precipice of oblivion, wooden structured, weathered and worn, stood as a silent witness to this town's slow descent into madness. Ragged denizens shuffled through the narrow alleyways, their eyes haunted by the ghosts of their past. Approaching the gates, guardians of weathered stone and rotting timber, I sought passage into the heart of the town. The whispered oath and solemn nod, they granted entry, their gaze betraying the weight of their burden. Mercenaries, they knew, brought wealth but also woe. Their blades a double-edged promise in the land steeped in shadows. Within the town's embrace I wandered, my gaze drawn to the solemn silhouette of a church, a bastion of a faith in a world forsaken by gods. Beside it, a tavern beckoned with the promises of camaraderie and coin, its faded sign a testament to forgotten revelries. Here, amidst the motley throng of adventurers and mercenaries, I found kinship in the shared pursuit of fortune and folly. Yet, beneath the veneer of camaraderie lay the ever-present spectre of the castle, a siren's call to those who dared to tempt fate. Its halls whispered of untold riches and unspeakable horrors, each tale a warning cloaked in the guise of a legend. For those who braved its depths, few returned unscathed, their souls scarred by the darkness that lurked within. I too heeded its call, my past a burden carried with every step. Once a knight of a noble lineage, I had witnessed the fall of kingdoms, the rise of darkness. Now armed with naught but my sword and my wits, I ventured forth into the abyss, a lone sentinel in a world consumed by the shadows. as the night descended like a shroud, painting the sky in hues of crimson and despair. A sense of dread gripped the town in its icy embrace. Whispers of timeless terror echoed through the streets, a harbinger of doom heralding the return of ancient evils. And then, as if summoned by the very darkness itself, they came. The vampires, lords of the night, their thirst for blood unquenchable, their hunger insatiable. With them came the pestilence, a swarm of nightmare-given form, their twisted visages a mockery of life itself. The town erupted in chaos, the air thick with the scent of fear and desperation. Panic-stricken, the townfolk sought refuge within the shelters of their own home, their praise drowned out by the clamor of battle. Amidst the chaos, the town court rallied a band of mercenaries, their swords a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. I too answered the call, my blade a silent foe sworn in the crucible of war. Together we marched towards the castle, each step a testament to our resolve, each heartbeat a defiant echo in the face of oblivion. The castle loomed before us, a fortress of nightmares, its walls a bastion against the encroaching tide of darkness. Before we could even breach the castle's gate, the guardians cried out a warning laden with dread. "Pests!" they bellowed, sending us scrambling for our weapons, a desperate dance with fate in the face of impending doom. The clash that ensued was a cacophony of chaos, blades meeting claws in the frenzied symphony of violence. One by one, mercenaries fell, their lives snuffed out amidst the turmoil. I too felt the sting of battle, a wound upon my sword hand, a reminder of the perilous path we tread. Pressing onwards into the depths of the castle, each step weighed heavy with the burden of mortality, the very air thick with the stench of death. The labyrinthine corridors twisted and turned, a maze of nightmares leading us even deeper into the abyss. At last we stumbled upon a grand hall, a macabre tableau of faded opulence. Upon a throne of bones sat a skeletal figure, a grim spectre of a bygone noble era. But our reverie was shattered as a vampire emerged from the shadows, a lord of the night clad in regal attire. With a snap of its finger, the vampire unleashed a horde of pests upon us, a swarm unlike any we had faced before. The battle raged on, a desperate struggle for the survival amidst the ruins of forgotten grandeur. In the heat of the battle, the grand hall became a theatre of carnage, a stage upon which our struggles played out amidst the shattered remnants of former glory. Swords clashed against the claws, the metallic tang of blood staining the air as a grim testament to the ferocity of our fight. With each swing of my blade, I danced on the edge of oblivion, my senses heightened by the adrenaline-fueled rush of combat. Yet, amidst the chaos, I felt a foreboding chill creep up my spine, a harbinger of the vampire's looming presence. Turning to see the Lord of the Night, I found myself ensnared in its malevolent gaze, a gaze that seemed to pierce the very fabric of my being. But even as fear threatened to consume me, I stood my ground, determination burning bright within my soul. With a swift motion, the vampire vanished from sight, its movements as elusive as the shadows in the night. Panic surged through me as I realized the danger lurking behind, cold sweat breaking out upon my brow. Before I could react, the vampire materialized before me once again, its fangs bared in a savage grin. With a primal instinct, I raised my sword in a desperate attempt to fend off the inevitable. But it was too late. In a blur of motion, the vampire's claws tore through the air, striking with a deadly precision. Pain erupting from my neck, its fangs sunk deep into my flesh, sending waves of agony coursing through my veins. I fought against the darkness that threatened to consume me, every fiber of my being screaming for release. But the vampire's grip was unyielding, its hunger insatiable as it drank deep of my lifeblood. Each passing moment my strength waned, the world around me fading into oblivion, as the last vestiges of my consciousness slipped away. I knew my fate was sealed, my destiny entwined with the darkness that lurked within the cursed castle. And so, amidst the echoes of battle and the cries of the dying, I surrendered to the embrace of death, a forgotten martyr to the horrors that lurked within the shadows. My name would be whispered in hushed tones, a cautionary tale of perils that awaited those who dared to challenge the darkness.